seconds. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me just say thank you to members who are raising the issue of Chad and Sudan. When I was there, I was reminded that in Chad's one of the poorest countries in the world, first of all. Secondly, that the last congressional delegation which visited Chad was, I believe, in 2009, 2010. So I would encourage members as we put together CODELs to visit Chad, because when you look at what's taking place and how Chad is taking care of these refugees, it's a lessons learned. 70% are women and children coming from Sudan, fleeing violence. The men are being slaughtered as they attempt to leave. And in fact, we're talking about people, and I visited Darfur many times in the early 2000s. Some of these refugees were children in Darfur in a refugee camp who are now have fled to Chad in a refugee camp. So it's a disaster of unspeakable proportions. So I hope the press picks up this and reports more on what is taking place in Sudan and Chad, and encourage not only the humanitarian assistance, but push harder for a diplomatic resolve and a ceasefire. On the Caribbean, Madam Ambassador, you know, we've been pushing hard to create a better partnership with the people of the Caribbean. How do we better demonstrate that the United States values their partnership? I also was recently down in the Caribbean, and believe you me, China is, as you know, everywhere in the Caribbean. And many of the countries, most of the countries are designated as middle-income countries when we know that they're very poor for the most part. The climate crisis is wreaking havoc on the islands. There are barriers to assistance and financing to better combat the effects of climate. And so the 12 million that we set aside recently to promote more inclusive growth in the Caribbean, wonder how that's working. Have we engaged a little bit more? Have we engaged more with people of the Caribbean and governments of the Caribbean? And finally, I'll just say there's one ambassador in Barbados who has, I believe he has 6 or 7 islands with no airplane. Has to fly it to Miami or New York, USAID. I mean, so what kind of message does that send in terms of importance of these small island nations who are great partners for the United States, but who we still haven't seen as valued appropriately?
Well, I mean, you've been on this case for many, many years. I always hesitate to look back and see just how long you've been pushing us in a direction, but I hope you see that it's really making a difference. I mean, it is the way this administration has engaged the Caribbean, I think, is unlike any that I have seen, including Vice President Harris's engagement with CARICOM, our diplomats' most recent engagement with CARICOM diplomatically around Haiti and transition. But in terms of resources where you've placed a lot of emphasis, USAID has expanded our footprint, something you've been asking for a long time, to 2 new field offices in Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago. At FY21, we were at just 18 million for, again, countries and communities with great needs. We're up in FY23, we're up to about 45 million. It's, again, very small compared to the work we could be doing in economic growth, in health, in disease surveillance and the like. What I find exciting, and this gets to, again, this larger culture of leveraging that we're building, is small investments that USAID is making to unlock greater pools of resources. So we supported the establishment of the Blue-Green Bank with the government of Barbados. That was just a $5 million contribution. It's going to be leveraged for hundreds of millions of dollars. We worked with the governments to help them access Green Climate Fund money. That's something that's a work in progress. Green Climate Fund, has a lot of resources coming in from all over the world, but small island states who are the most vulnerable to climate change's ravages have been the least able to compete and submit proposals, project ready. proposals. And so that's, I think, a niche that USAID can help when it comes to climate adaptation and resilience, which these countries need desperately. And then we've just launched a new resilience fund with the CARICOM Development Fund. We provided just $1.75 million, again, not small money, but that's being leveraged to develop a fund that will have a target investment of around $100 million. So I think again, we'll grow our budget, grow our footprint, hopefully get the ambassador a plane, although Miami is said to be, chairman says, nice place to come through, but that we need an ability to access these communities and show with our presence a presence that can then also translate into drawing more private sector investment, because as the ambassador and our teams get around and expand our eyes and ears on the ground, we're better able then to latch up and to matchmake with people here in North America, in the United States.
Thank you. You didn't take too much more than the 4 seconds that you got from me.
Thank you for the 5 seconds I got.
There
Appreciate
you
it.
go.